In the 7th episode of Jujutsu Kaisen, a powerful curse called Jogo is about to fight another character called Gojo.
I see. Who are you then?
At this point, Jogo is clearly one of the most terrifying people in the series and can pretty much defeat almost anyone. He ambushes Gojo, launches fire blasts, creates volcanoes, and uses some of his most powerful techniques. But these attacks don't even touch Gojo. He dodges everything, explains how his power works mid-fight, and even leaves the battle for a moment just to bring a student to watch.
What the hell?
Something becomes very clear to the viewers. Not only are these two on completely different levels, Gojo is a monster compared to every other character. And that, my friends, is the exact moment the strongest was born. Don't get me wrong, overpowered characters have been around forever. But something about this specific archetype just made every anime and manga fan go wild. So today, I want to show you some of my absolute favorite depictions of the strongest. For Jujutsu Kaisen, the strongest means two things: modern day strongest, Gojo, and the strongest of 1,000 years ago, Sukuna, the king of curses. Basically, this guy is the final boss of the entire series. Originally, he was a human 1,000 years ago, but he was so absurdly overpowered that when he died, they had to chop him up into 20 fingers and seal him away so that he would never come back. Except that one day, the main character eats one of these fingers, and now Sukuna is literally living rent-free inside his body. I know, this might sound kind of basic, but there's a pretty big detail that makes this situation really cool. Sukuna isn't really some final boss you see in the last chapters of the story. Sure, we only get to see him at full power at the very end, but he's always right there inside the protagonist, watching every fight, making fun of him, and sometimes even taking control. These little glimpses throughout the story are enough to make you realize that everyone else is pretty much nothing compared to him. Like, remember Jogo, the curse that's supposed to be really powerful? Sukuna fights him, tells him to use his most powerful move just for the fun of it. It doesn't do anything to him, and he casually deletes Jogo like it's nothing. What I really love about Sukuna is that he's kind of the evil twin of Gojo. Both of them are operating on god tier levels of power, but where Gojo cares about protecting people, Sukuna is just pure, I do what I want. He doesn't have some big evil plans. His entire life is just about being the strongest and having fun when fighting, and if someone doesn't like it, they can get stronger or he'll mess them up. That's it. This is like his whole thing. He exists to be at the top, and everything else is just there to entertain him. But there are moments where he does show genuine respect for other strong people. Before beating Jogo, Sukuna actually tells him he was strong. It's not kindness. He acknowledges another fighter before destroying them. Same thing with Gojo. In a way, I think that's what makes Sukuna such a pure depiction of the strongest, because strength is basically the only thing that matters to him. For Demon Slayer, the strongest is also the loneliest character in the series. In the story, Demon Slayers are people who slay demons. And Yoriichi Tsugikuni is the most powerful Demon Slayer in history, like by very, very far. From a very early age, Yoriichi was already a more talented swordsman than most people out there. This wasn't because he trained for it, but simply because he was born with abilities that no one else had. And despite that, he never actually planned to become a Demon Slayer until a demon destroyed his entire family, his pregnant wife, and his child. All of that while he was out trying to help other people. That day, he decided to protect others from suffering the same kind of loss that he experienced. He then invented sun breathing, which is basically the grandfather of every single technique in the entire series. Every cool move you've seen any other character pull off is all derived from what this one guy came up with. Years later, he encounters Muzan, who is basically the big bad guy of the series and also the dude who created all the other demons. But Yoriichi messed him up so bad that Muzan spent the next, several decades hiding. We're talking about the main villain of the entire series, by the way. While this is happening, Yoriichi's brother, who had trained his entire life and still couldn't even come close to matching his little brother's natural talent, turned into a demon to become stronger. Unlike a lot of depictions of the strongest, Yorichi is kind, humble, and constantly blames himself for not being good enough. When he failed to end Muzan and when his brother became a demon, Demon Slayer Corps basically banned him and he just accepted. He genuinely believed that he had failed everyone. And the crazy part is that when these two brothers face each other again, Yorichi is an old man while his brother is one of the strongest demons ever. And yet, Yorichi is still way more powerful. But out of nowhere, he just dies of old age, mid-battle. The strongest person who ever lived. The guy who single-handedly created the foundation for every Demon Slayer technique. The man who nearly ended the demons forever. All this incredible strength couldn't save the people he actually cared about. He could destroy demons like they were nothing, but he couldn't protect his wife and his child. The detail I love about all of this is that we actually only learn about Yorichi through flashbacks, but his presence is everywhere in the story, which is pretty crazy when you think about it. For One Punch Man, the strongest is a guy who does 100 push-ups, 100 sit-ups, 100 squats, and a 10-kilometer run every single day. Saitama used to be some completely regular dude, like the most normal guy you could ever imagine, until he started training so hard that his hairline, it went away. But most importantly, he became so ridiculously overpowered that he could delete an enemy with one punch. And I don't mean like some random enemies here and there. No, I'm talking about final boss that no one else can even touch kind of enemies. Saitama's whole character is basically a way to make fun of other overpowered characters like the strongest. This man just, shows up, deletes the threat, and then goes home stressed about stuff like missing the grocery store discount. But the thing that's really cool is that he's not just a funny character. He also represents what happens when you reach the final level possible. This man achieved the ultimate goal of pretty much any character. He's literally untouchable. My man got a job, being a hero, and achieved exactly what he trained for. But nobody told him that that would rob him of everything that made the training worthwhile in the first place. The actual fun of fighting. Whenever there's a battle, the audience isn't, sitting there stressed out wondering if Saitama can win. That dude always wins. I think what makes this character awesome is how he completely destroys the idea of being the strongest. Like, his whole personality is basically the complete opposite of this whole character archetype. He isn't super charismatic. Most of the time, people don't even notice he's there. He isn't driven by some crazy goal to save the world. This man became a hero for fun. He doesn't have a tragic backstory. He's not the chosen one. He's just some regular dude who worked out too much, and he lives like he's still working in an office job. He doesn't flex on people or use his power to gain anything. In a genre that's so freaking obsessed with characters getting stronger and stronger, Saitama feels super unique in the best possible way. And the thing that I find kind of insane is that the author of One Punch Man managed to create not one, but two super unique depictions of the strongest. Mob Psycho 100 is the story of this kid called Mob, a completely regular student. Except here's the thing. This student has psychic powers that are so strong he could literally delete anyone from existence if he wanted to. The thing that makes Mob so special is that he doesn't want to be the strongest. This kid's dream is actually just to be normal. He learns that having powers doesn't automatically make him a cool person to hang out with. What makes someone a good person is the ability to connect with others on an emotional level. But that's not something he can do because his powers are tied to his emotions, and if he loses control of his emotions, he could seriously hurt the people he cares about. And that creates this heartbreaking situation where the thing that makes him special is also the thing preventing him from living a normal life. That's where the 100 in the title comes from. Throughout the series, you'll see this percentage counter that shows Mob's emotional state climbing higher and higher. And every time it climbs, it means Mob is getting more emotional. Like, the final boss of the series is literally Mob going crazy, losing control of his emotions. It's all the stuff he's been bottling up for years just coming out. This guy is anxious, constantly doubting himself, and would rather hide in the background than be the center of attention. Even during fights, this boy always tries to talk to his opponents first. He only fights when he absolutely has to. Even though he's like, the most powerful being on Earth, he still joins the body improvement club to get physically stronger through actual effort. This kid who could probably lift a building with his mind is out here doing push-ups because he wants to earn his strength the normal way. There's this moment I absolutely love at the end of the series where he's basically accepted his emotions and he sees this cat stuck on a tree. This kid could literally, bring it down with his powers in 1 second. But what does he do? My man climbs up a literal electric pole and the cat just jumps away. For Assassination Classroom, the strongest is a yellow octopus-looking alien who also happens to be a school teacher. The first thing we find out about Kuro-sensei is that this dude blew a literal hole in the moon. And now he's threatening to delete Earth in 1 year. But instead of hiding or being some kind of evil mastermind, he makes a deal with the government. He'll teach a bunch of students that nobody cares about for that entire year, and in return, these kids have 1 year to assassinate him and save the planet. And of course, the thing that makes it very difficult is that he is in fact the strongest. This man is capable of moving at the speed of sound. He's got near perfect regeneration and he's basically invincible to any normal weapon. Yet he doesn't use that strength to fight. Instead, he uses it to provide the best education imaginable to a group of students that were supposed to become complete failures. Just to give you an example, he does stuff like write guides to help students that are literally the size of an encyclopedia, go so fast that he can individually teach every single student, travel around the entire world during lunch break just to bring back some snacks for his students. This creates these beautiful moments where these kids are trying to destroy him, but they're simultaneously getting attached to him. They genuinely have to become super smart, super skilled, and very coordinated to even stand a chance against him. And that is exactly what he wants. Visually, he looks super goofy. This man is a smiling cartoon octopus wearing a teacher uniform like he's about to give you a pop quiz. Clearly, he's able to use his strength to destroy stuff, but he can also use it to help people in ways they couldn't even imagine.
Atomic.
For the Eminence and Shadow, the strongest is a background character. Listen, I'm not an isekai dude, okay? It's not really my thing, but this might have been one of the most hilarious things I've seen in a very long time. Sid is basically a dude whose ultimate dream isn't saving the world or becoming stronger. No, all he wants is to look cool while doing mysterious shadow stuff like the most edgy, absurd things you could think of. And he loves it. He is so absurdly strong that he has to actively hide his strength by pretending to be a background character. And sometimes he pushes it so far that it genuinely creates some of the dumbest situations. Like there's an entire tournament where he fights while wearing a costume specifically designed to look like the most average man ever. And he even pretends to be called Mundane Man. He has his own personal group made of exactly 666 women. But the truth is, this man is invincible. He annihilates every single enemy he fights. His whole role is basically a parody of every overpowered isekai protagonist you've ever seen, and because he doesn't actually take himself too seriously, it makes the whole thing kind of awesome. My man just wants to be an edgelord, and he fully embraces it. And here's the thing, pretty much every other strongest character has some kind of tragic side to their powers, but with this dude, it's just dumb. And I love it. In Fire Force, the strongest is someone so strong that we don't even get to see how strong he truly is. Okay, to be honest, I genuinely think that Benimaru is one of the most underrated depictions of the strongest. So Fire Force is set in this world where people just randomly burst into flames and turn into these monsters called Infernals. And there are these special fire companies running around trying to deal with them. A lot of people have some kind of firepower, but then you've got Benimaru Shinmon, the king of fire powers. First of all, he's the only person with both second and third generation pyrokinetic abilities. Basically, people can either create fire or control fire that already exists, but this man can do both. There's this moment at the end of the series where he's fighting a clone of himself, but The thing is, it's not an exact clone because it's based on how people see him. It basically means that if people see you as someone super weak, the clone is probably going to be super weak. And if people see you as someone super strong, the clone is probably going to be super strong. And obviously, people see Benimaru like a completely overpowered monster. So his clone is able to create this fire ring around the entire planet. Insane, right? But straight after that happens, Benimaru beats him in one move. And he's totally disappointed because people didn't actually realize how strong he was. For those of you who have never touched Fire Force, this is a story where people are obsessed with this god of the sun. And there are a bunch of different groups that believe in a bunch of different things and a bunch of different philosophies, that kind of stuff. And the thing that makes Benimaru really stand out is the fact that he's so strong, he can just not follow any of these groups and do his own thing if he wants to. Sure, he's part of the Fire Force, but he lives by his own code. Most of the time, you'll find him chilling and taking care of the people in his district. He's free. On top of that, his character development is kind of good. At first, this guy was perfectly happy with doing what he was doing and ignoring everything else happening in the world. But as the series goes on, he starts to realize that having ultimate strength also means you have to use it for something bigger than yourself. So yeah, we get to see him help the main characters, and we also get to see him fight, which is always such a treat. Okay, listen. For a very long time in my life, I wasn't super interested in Tokyo Ghoul. I mean, I read some of it, but it wasn't, really my thing. Until a few months ago, when I found this video talking about a character called Arima Kisho. So, I basically stopped the video, read all of Tokyo Ghoul, finished the video, and now I realize how silly I was. In this story, the world is full of regular people, but also people who eat regular people. They're called ghouls. And there's this organization called the CCG that was basically created to hunt the ghouls. And one particular member of this organization is known by everyone as the Reaper. This is Kisho Arima. This dude was so strong that he got to the top of the CCG at a very young age. He even became the guy they had to call when there was an extremely powerful ghoul that nobody else could handle. He defeated a bunch of powerful ghouls. He defeated Kaneki, the main character, twice. And ultimately, the only thing that could actually beat Arima was Arima himself, which should tell you everything you need to know about how absurdly overpowered this dude was. And generally, I just think he was written in such a cool way. Most of the series, you have no idea what's going on in his head. We see him through the eyes of ghouls who are absolutely terrified of him, or the people working alongside him who have no clue who he really is as a person. Then comes his final battle where everything changes. He's going against the protagonist and absolutely obliterates him. But when he sees that Kaneki is able to succeed him, he finally admits that this is the first time in his entire life he'll have an impact beyond just slaying ghouls. For once, he's actually going to change things for the better by giving someone else the tools to succeed where he couldn't. And that's when the story drops this bomb on you. Arima has been secretly working to end the conflict between humans and ghouls this entire time. He's been training Kaneki to eventually replace him and close the gap between these people. We realize that the person we saw as a monster is actually way more complicated. The tragedy of Arima is that he can't create the future he wants. He's too associated with the old system, too feared by the ghouls, too valuable to the CCG to ever switch sides. So instead of trying to be the change himself, he decides to become a stepping stone for someone who can actually pull it off. Arima was literally created to be the strongest ghoul killer. That was his entire purpose. But somewhere along the way, he saw the truth. Neither side was innocent. What really gets me about Arima is how subtle his character is. He's not super flashy, but when you finally understand what he's been doing this whole time, it's genuinely brilliant. And now, I want to show you what might still be my favorite depiction of the strongest ever. In Hunter x Hunter, there's this arc called the Chimera Ant arc, where a bunch of characters investigate this island full of weird-looking creatures called ants. One day, the queen of the ants has a child called Merwe, and the second he's born, he's already the strongest. He beats Netero, as in the world's most powerful hunter, and When I say beat, what I actually mean is that there was no effort whatsoever. When he's first introduced, he's pure evil. He sees everyone as inferior to him, and he casually slays his own subordinates. This guy believes that the strong are supposed to rule over the weak, and since he's absurdly overpowered, that obviously makes him the king of everything. It is the most basic, brutal philosophy you could imagine. But then, he meets this weak, blind human girl called Komugi, who's a genius at a board game, and he just cannot beat her. Not once. This creature who can overpower anyone, outsmart anything, can't even beat this little girl, and it completely breaks his head. For the first time in his entire existence, Meruem feels inferior to someone. And it's not because they're stronger or faster or more powerful. It's because they're better at him at something. And that's when he starts evolving. He stops hurting people for fun. He questions what power actually is. He shows mercy to people he would have destroyed before. He starts learning that strength can mean different things. And most importantly, he discovers what it feels like to care about someone else's well-being more than himself. And that's a completely new feeling to him. The way their relationships develops is so beautiful because it happens over a very long period of time. After his fight against Netero, Meruem is dying from poison. And what does he do with his final moments? He finds Komugi, calls her name, holds her hand, and spends his last moments with the only person who saw him as more than just a monster. What makes Meruem's character so genius is how the story uses his overwhelming strength to explore what it actually means to be the strongest.